Listen, are you secretly exhausted by the endless pressure to be good? To be the perfect wife? The selfless mother? The accommodating colleague? It feels like you are constantly auditioning for a role you never actually chose. But what if I told you that bone-deep weariness isn't a sign of weakness? It is actually a signal, a powerful alarm bell from your psyche. It is your inner matriarch waking up and whispering one word: enough. Today, we are not going to learn how to play your role better. We are going to learn how to tear up the script entirely. This is about confronting the parts of yourself you were taught to hide, your shadow, and using them to ignite a quiet rebellion. You do not need to become aggressive to reclaim your power. You simply need to stop asking for permission. By the end of this video, you will understand how to transform your midlife fatigue into an unshakable, intuitive authority. Your coronation begins now. So, how did we get here, to this place of profound exhaustion? It begins early, long before you had a career or a family to manage. Imagine a small, beautiful velvet chair sitting in the corner of a room. We can call this the chair of approval. From the time you were a little girl, you were taught that the safest place to be was sitting quietly in that chair. You learned that being good meant being agreeable. It meant smiling when you wanted to frown. It meant swallowing your sharp words and hiding your intuitive knowing to keep the peace. You were rewarded for shrinking. You were praised for your selflessness. And for the first half of your life, that little velvet chair of approval felt comfortable enough. It gave you a script to follow. It promised you love and safety if you just played the role of the good girl perfectly. But here is the brutal truth about midlife. You have grown. Your soul has expanded through decades of experience, joy, and heartbreak. And that little velvet chair of approval, it is now far too small. It is cramping your spirit. The very conditioning that once protected you is now the source of your suffocation. You feel it as a tightness in your chest when you say yes to another favor. You feel it as a flash of heat when someone talks over you. This is not just stress. It is the friction of your authentic self rubbing against the bars of a cage you built yourself. Jung understood this deeply. He knew that a lifetime of suppressing your true nature doesn't make you a saint. It makes you split. You have cut off your power to fit into the chair. But those cut off parts didn't vanish. They went into the dark, into the shadow. And right now, they are no longer asking politely to be let back in. They are banging on the door. Then comes the breaking point. It usually happens on an ordinary day. Maybe you are standing in the kitchen, washing the same dish for the 1,000th time, and suddenly you feel a primal urge to just drop it and walk out the front door. Or perhaps you see a woman who is loud, unapologetic, and takes up space, and instead of judgment, you feel a burning flash of envy. Listen closely to that envy. Listen to that urge to scream. Society tells you these are symptoms of a crisis. They say you are becoming difficult, bitter, unstable. But Jung would tell you something very different. He would say that this is your shadow knocking. And here is the secret that changes everything. Your shadow is not just a basement filled with your sins and insecurities. For the good girl, the shadow is actually the golden vault. Think about it. To fit into that small velvet chair, what did you have to throw away? You threw away your fierce anger, which is actually your power of protection. You threw away your ambition, which is your power of creation.
You threw away your wildness, which is your direct line to intuition. These parts are not evil, they are simply raw, undiluted energy. They are the very fuel the inner matriarch needs to rule. The good girl is exhausted because she has severed her connection to this power source. She is trying to run a marathon on polite smiles alone. So, the turning point is not when you fix yourself. It is when you stop running from your own darkness. It is when you realize that the rage you fear is actually the sword you need to cut your strings. Embracing your shadow does not make you a villain, it makes you whole. It gives you gravity. But what does this wholeness look like in action? How does a woman wield this shadow energy without burning down her life? She rises as the matriarch.
So, who emerges from this integration? Who is the inner matriarch? Let us be very clear about who she is not. She is not a tyrant. She is not the bitter woman who lashes out because she has been hurt. That is just the shadow acting out. The matriarch is something far more profound. She is the woman who has integrated the warmth of the mother with the sovereignty of the king. She is the adult in the room of her own life. When you embody the matriarch, the dynamic shifts instantly. The good girl asks for permission to speak. The matriarch speaks because she has something to say. The good girl looks around the room to see if she is safe. The matriarch enters the room and makes it safe. This authority does not come from a title or a paycheck. It comes from the deep, internalized knowledge of your own value. You no longer need to prove anything to anyone. You have survived your own history. You have faced your shadow, and that has given you gravity. Think of the most powerful woman you know. Does she rush? Does she over-explain herself? Does she laugh when nothing is funny? No. The matriarch's power is quiet. It is the power of the pause. When someone crosses a boundary, she does not need to rage. She simply looks them in the eye and holds her silence until the truth lands. She trusts her intuition more than she trusts public opinion. She knows that her no is a complete sentence, and she delivers it without the heavy baggage of guilt. This is the freedom you have been longing for. It is not the freedom of having no responsibilities. It is the freedom of being the one who decides what those responsibilities are. But how do you start living this way tomorrow morning, when the old habits are strong and the world still expects you to be compliant? You start with a quiet rebellion in your daily language. You start with the art of stopping. So how do we bring this sovereign energy into the kitchen, the boardroom, and the bedroom? We start with two specific practices that you can use today. The first act of your quiet rebellion is to stop explaining yourself. The good girl believes that if she just explains her reasons well enough, she will be granted permission to have needs. She over-communicates because she is terrified of being misunderstood. The matriarch knows that she does not need to be understood by everyone to be valid. Here is your liberation spell for this week. When you need to decline a request or set a boundary, simply say, "That does not work for me right now." And then, and this is the hardest part, you stop talking. Do not add, "because I am tired," or "because I have another appointment." Just let the sentence hang in the air. The silence that follows will feel uncomfortable. It will feel heavy. That heaviness is the weight of your authority returning to you. Do not rush to fill it with apologies. Sit in it. Breathe into it. The second practice is to honor the unreasonable impulse. The good girl only does things that are productive or helpful to others. The matriarch does things simply because her soul demands it.
If you feel a sudden urge to drive to the ocean alone, or to paint a wall in your house a dark blue, or to sit in the garden and do absolutely nothing for an hour, do it. These small acts are not frivolous. They are rituals of reclamation. You are retraining your nervous system to trust your own desire over the expectations of the collective. And here is the most beautiful part. When you stop shrinking, you change the atmosphere for everyone around you. Your daughter is watching. Your friends are watching. When you stand in your quiet power, you give every woman in your orbit permission to stop auditioning and start living. But once the crown is on your head and the boundaries are set, what does the rest of your life actually look like? That is the vision we need to anchor now.
Imagine waking up tomorrow without the heavy cloak of expectation weighing you down. The matriarch does not live in a fairy tale without conflict. She lives in reality, but she navigates it with an unshakable inner peace. This shadow work is not a destination. It is a lifelong practice of coronation. The energy you once wasted on suppressing your fire is now fueling your legacy. You are no longer the supporting character in your own story, scurrying to please the audience. You are the lead. You are the writer. So I invite you to make this official. Claim your throne in the comments below. Simply write the words, "My true authority." It is a declaration to the universe that the audition is finally over. But be warned, as you step into your power, you will begin to see the invisible strings of society more clearly than ever before. The external world has its own shadows that will try to bind you back into the old roles. How do we dismantle those hidden traps? In our next video, we will expose the societal shadow binds that drain your vitality and learn exactly how to cut them for good.